You can't control where your customers buy from you. You have to be where they want to buy. Consumer buying behavior completely changes. You have to control where they buy and control the product being offered in front of where they buy. Social media is not meant to be a product showcase, right? It's meant to be a place to connect human beings through entertainment, laughter, or emotion. And your product most likely is not going to do that.
It takes a community to build a brand. If you don't have a community, I do not believe you're ever going to have a brand. You may have a great product, but you're not going to have something, an ethos that everybody rallies around.
Community is what drives the word of mouth. It's what drives referral business. It drives loyalty, right? It becomes an own channel its own, but it also becomes its own unique beast of a channel, right? Different people talking about their communities. They are kind of thriving and living on their own. The conversations are happening, and they're all here for a common reason.
On TikTok Shop, our AOV is $21. On our website, it's about $140. On Whatnot, about $100. The behavior is definitely different. TikTok Shop, a good channel, it's profitable for us. It's very transactional. Like, this checks so many boxes with live shopping. We're good.
Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Are you guys all tested? Amir,
Tested.
can we hear you?
Amir,
I can hear you.
Okay.
I know you can hear me. You're such a liar.
Amir, can you say
Okay.
something, please?
Brian, I gave you the biggest compliment yesterday, so
I'm
do not allow that.
gonna be nice to you. We're good. We can rock.
All right, we can
Yeah,
rock
it's
and
game
roll?
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
I don't know where the people are, but we need, hey,
Yeah,
you, come
yeah.
on, sit down.
All right, you
Yeah.
guys ready to do 3?
Thank you.
2, 1.
Welcome to the awesome pod where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop. Amir from the agency and Jimmy from SaaS. John has an Android, but give him a pass. Cause he's an operator building brands like a carpenter. And that's Brian, he is the marketer. Like I said, this the awesome pod where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Awesome Pod. We are a pod that is about perspective. What we have here is we have 4 different things. What Awesome stands for those who've never heard of us before, it stands for A for agency, S for SaaS, O for operator, M for marketer, and that's how we came up with the name. In fact, the second thing is, and Amir loves to say this, we're also the bathroom guys, so if you've walked through the bathroom and you've seen our little thing, make sure you take a scan and check us out. All right, with that, I want to start off and I want to introduce everyone here on this stage here with me. I'm going to start here with the middle over here. We've got John Roman. He's the Android-loving survival king. Outside of that, he's also the CEO of BattleBox, an outdoor subscription, what do we call you, survival box?
Outdoor adventure brand.
Okay, cool. And then we've got Amir Grasinic. He's the Prince of Bosnia, Mayor of Motivation. He's here coming to you all the way from the 425th ranked city of Chicago, and he's here as the CEO of Perella. We've got Brian McDonald here. He's the king of meats, the self-proclaimed funniest dude on LinkedIn, and you are the director of e-commerce at Almost Pride Raw Food Pet, the best pet food that you can get in the market, and it's not too expensive at all. All right. And my name is Jimmy Kim, and per my badge, I'm the cool guy here, so that's who I am. I'm also the moderator. And today, we thought we'd bring a little fun presentation to the stage here because we always want to try to make our podcast a little bit unique and try to do something more than just interviews. So we're going to play a little game here today. How many people, and we're all of age here as I look around the audience, remember a little thing called Hot or Not? Yes? All right, we got some hands here. So we are going to play our own version of Hot or Not here. So we've got slides, and hopefully this works. There we go. We've got a little version of Hot or Not, and we've put together a little slideshow so we can talk about 5 different things that we believe we can talk about hot or not. And so we're going to kick it off with retail because though we're at a subscription-based conference here, we also know that retail is an important part of the movement for a brand to continue to reach out, prospect, get new customers, yada, 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 right? And so I want to start off and kick off the conversation of hot or not with retail. Show of hands, how many people think retail is hot right now? Is something that you guys are thinking about? And how many people don't think retail is hot? All right. We got a handful. We got a little naysayers.
All right.
What do you think? What do you think? Brian, you want to kick this thing off?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a fourth generation family owned and operated pet food company, and we're built on legacy personal retail, so we have our own retail, and then we're also recently, I would say over the past 9 years, got on direct-to-consumer, but for the longest time, we were a legacy brand, and I think the retail push for us was choosing between going independent pet retail or big box retail. So we really had to wait until, we were able to gain our own distribution through eCom before we even considered going to retail, and also have enough cash flow in order to make that decision. So going the independent pet route in retail was an easy decision for us, because going big box, a lot of them have net 90 pay terms, and if you can't fork over the cash flow and inventory and you don't have a good sell-through rate, you could collapse. So independent pet offers, distributor buys our product, and as soon as it reaches their warehouse, they have anywhere from net 15 and net 30 terms with us. So it was an easy way for us to infiltrate like the independent pet market. These are like mom and pop pet shops, and there's 4,500 of them across the U.S. And that was the first dipping our foot into retail. It was going after that. So we knew we had to get out there, because, I believe that you can't control where your customers buy from you. You have to be where they want to buy. And we're in an ever-evolving landscape that John talks about all the time. Consumer buying behavior completely changes. Your same ICP, you can't control your ICP's channel, right? You have to control where they buy. And control the product being offered in front of where they buy. So we know a lot of our customers are in retail, and we had to get in front of them because we don't want to lose them.
Brian, from the retail side of things for you guys right now, are you guys seeing retail come in and you act like almost like a top of the funnel, and then they come in and join your subscription program at once they've kind of used the product, and they'll come to you direct to consumer? Yeah,
absolutely. Retail's a funny business in regards to having a different product set and offering now, where a lot of products that we offer in retail we don't offer on direct to consumer, right? So a lot of bulk offerings online, subscription meal plan focused quizzes online, and then the retail, they're small treats in the $15 to $25 price range. Folks can go in, try product. It's easier to try product in retail and then look for another channel to become that subscription user, and that helps us obviously create a pretty cool funnel.
Let's over to John over here. So John, I know we've talked about this before, and retail is something that you guys have been challenged with, and it's something that you guys are going through. I mean, you guys are mainly a subscription box company here today. I think 80%, 90%?
It'll be 78%.
Okay, so right around 80% of your stuff is retail subscription today. Talk to me about retail. What's the desire? What's the goal here? What would you sell in retail, being that you guys are a subscription box, a curated subscription box? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so with the initial question of hot or not, I'm going to put it in 2025 at a 5. Last year I was probably a 7. The year before that I was probably an 8. I definitely see the value in retail for the reason that Brian outlined, but I think there's, some considerations, right? 3 years ago when all these D2C brands were like, we've got to figure out retail because, the post-COVID world of actual D2C sales is adjusted. I would have said that, we've got to figure out retail at all costs. The reality is, several people in the audience, you guys, retail is an interesting beast. It's going to suck your cash. It's going to be very cash intensive. From manufacturing to net 90, net 120 terms from the big box, it's a tough cash flow thing to work through. So, we've kind of stepped back a little bit. And we want to choose the right retail partners. It's not just spray and pray and try to go everywhere. I think you can get yourself in a really bad spot as a business. Put yourself out of business if you're not careful. So to your second question on what does it look like for us, the retailers we've talked to, it's a box. It's a curated kit. It's not mystery. It's simply a theme, and nicer retail than our traditional subscription packaging, and just kind of niching down, maybe a 48-hour kit or a power goes out kit or automotive disaster kit, and going that route. So kind of staying a little bit core to the business of themed boxes, but taking the mystery element out of it.
A random thought I had as you said that is, have you ever positioned yourself as potentially as a game almost?
No.
Have you thought about it that way? Because you guys are offering these missions today, right? And you guys have these missions. Imagine if you can come pick up a mission at the retail side.
It's an interesting approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Jimmy loves games.
I like playing games too. All right, Amer, you've obviously worked with a lot of big brands out there. People like Billie Eilish and I don't know
Rihanna.
I don't know who
Paris
else.
Hilton.
Yeah,
LeBron James.
Yeah,
right?
all of these big celebrities, and obviously you guys are working on the e-commerce side. But talk to us about retail. Like, are you seeing your movement between your clients moving towards retail more and more? Is that something that people are looking and desiring, and they're moving away from e-commerce, or are they adding it as a supplement? Like, talk to us about that.
Pop up, it's Alia, driving down the lane. From Nike to Plunge, they're running the game. 900 brands, yeah, they know the name. Support so fire, puts others to shame. Real A/B tests with insights to match. Fast load times like a lightning patch. Book a demo now and don't miss the deal. Get 30 days free and a 20% steal. Big shout out to Alia, an app that is revolutionizing how brands turn website visitors into loyal customers. With some of the highest performing pop-ups in eCom, Alia is helping brands ditch traditional web forms and double down on education, personalization, and conversion. We highly recommend you check out Alia at alialearn.com today and let them know Awesome sent you.
Every brand, I think once they exceed $5 million, have certain aspirations, to go to retail. So I think it's a lot of time, it's a topic of conversation. Now, a brand like Oma's or a brand like BattleBox compared to somebody like Billie Eilish, whole different ballgame, because the gravitas that Billie with her following comes in with, and Altas of the world wanting to be associated with them, it's a little bit different. Where I've seen one thing I've seen that was very interesting. This was early on in my agency days. We worked with a brand that got recently acquired, Movement Watches. And Movement Watches is something very interesting that at that time I actually didn't understand. They're about $12 million company and highly growing, profitable. And Walmart came in with a huge PO to them. Life-changing. And Kramer and Jake, who were the co-founders, went back to Walmart and declined the offer. Because at that moment, not just as operators, but as a company, they were mature enough to realize if we jump in too early, we're, one, giving all the control to Walmart because it is Walmart and they can push you or pull you in whenever. And they wanted to control the narrative, one with their brand, but the narrative with their P&L. And
I think Movado might not buy them, right? Like
they bought them.
You know what I'm saying? They might not buy them if they're
100% not.
It hurts the...
Yeah, it devalues their brand.
Yeah, it devalues the brand. You're giving all the control to Walmart. And then, what it was, maybe 10 years later, they got acquired for $100 million, and they made the right move. So I think retail is sexy, it's exciting. It's super exciting for me to walk into a store and see one of our clients in there as well. It's a cool moment. Yeah. But I don't think it's for everyone, and I think kind of like John was explaining, once brands with an open mind go through their journey, they realize they may not be ready for it from a business sustainability standpoint.
And I would say that if you're thinking about some of the larger brands that you're working with, they're probably already in retail in some spots, and they're actually coming to you to go to e-commerce because they want to own the customer and own the customer experience. Is that correct?
It is, but like when you're a smaller brand and you're going into a store, you have to also market and support that.
You have to sell your product.
Yeah, you have to sell your product. Where with somebody like a Billie Eilish, she has a global brand. Now, Ulta doesn't have to really do anything. Billie doesn't have to do anything because her tours and her music is her marketing channel.
Yeah, spot on.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Great topic on retail. So it seems like we've got some mixed feelings. We're sitting like a 5-6 really on it, and some people I know are really bullish about it. Jump into the next one. The next one I think is really big right now because more and more people with the rising costs of advertising and media right now, people are looking to grow into this channel. And look, we zap back to like 2017, 2015, right? It didn't matter. You can go buy paid ads. Ads were cheap, and obviously over time diversification is happening. More and more channels are appearing outside of just Meta. You've got your TikToks, you've got your AppLovins, you've got your Googles. Like everything is changing and evolving, and now we've got a layer of AI. But the one thing that's held strong and steady in this market has been, people who've been working on their organic growth. And a lot of people think about SEO when you think this, but I think with the modern way that things are changing, community is really part of what organic is. And your community doesn't need to be on the typical forum or a Facebook group always. It can be living on a social media platform. It could be living in an old school form, depending on where you're looking at. But that's where brands are thriving still today, and they're having less challenges than ever, where a lot of the people are only relying on paid ads to grow are having bigger challenges. I mean, seeing a brand that I know, which was doing $50 million a year in 1 year, with all the ads and everything changing over the last 12 months, fall to $20 million so fast, where you're seeing brands that have been investing in growing their community and organic side continue to move up. So as I say this, who's bullish on community organic growth? Hot or not? We going hot? Who just loves paid ads and screw organic? Oh, nobody? Oh, well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. We got to have at least one, But the reality is that, right? So I'll kick it off to you, John. I mean, John, you've got a community of 1 million on TikTok, 1 million on YouTube. You got a ton of people in your community lives. In fact, you've got your influencer right here in front of you who's part of your team.
Curtis, 1776 right here,
if
folks.
If you guys ever follow him over here, but this is the 1 million man follower here on multiple channels. Talk to us about it, man.
Yeah, so, we were, I'll put this at a 10. We'll put it at a 10 last year, 10 the year before that. We've always focused on the community piece. You look at, I mentioned it earlier, we saw the peak of 2020 and 2021 with COVID and the pandemic and all this spikes with D2C sales. And then everybody kind of came back down to reality. We didn't come back down to reality, right? And we were an established brand then. We had already been around for 6-7 years. And the one reason we didn't go down 40% year over year like everyone else, it was because of the community. It was because of the organic. Don't get me wrong, our CACs have continually gone up. Everyone's CPMs, everyone's CACs are going up year over year. That's part of this game. But the reality is we can combat that and stop them from going so fast with organic content.
Makes sense. What about you, Brian? Brian, you're bullish on organic content.
Yeah.
I mean, you love it.
Love
you have
it.
literally
Love
zero
it.
media spend. You are continuing to grow, and I think you grew like 40% year over year, and you did it all through organic growth. I would love for you to share with the audience here as they're listening, what was that strategy? What was the playbook there, and how did you guys lean into that?
Yeah, so I came on board OMA's about a little over 2 years ago, and for the most part back then, they were spending a few thousand a month through a local agency, and realized that wasn't necessarily the path. And what they had in place was a lot of product showcasing on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, talking about the product. And I'm like, you guys are talking about the product too much. And what does that mean? No one goes on social media. A lot of people forget this. Social media is not meant to be a product showcase, right? It's meant to be a place to connect human beings through entertainment, laughter, or emotion. And your product most likely is not going to do that. So how do you do that? You have to tell your story. So, lay out a whole game plan. I'm like, we're going to post every day. We're going to post twice a day. The social media department wasn't too thrilled with me. This bald guy, crazy guy comes in and kind of restructures everything. But our whole goal was to create our pillars, right? So we're a 4th generation business, right? We've been around since the 50s. Cash flow positive for 35 years, right? How do we tell that story of great-grandparents buying a farm, buying 5 chickens, and then taking over the eastern seaboard and human, turkey food distribution, transitioning to pet food in a way in which that's never been done before. So that's going to be pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, we're going to bring you into the office every single day, showcasing who we are, what we do, learn our personalities, because at the end of the day, people buy from people. So if you're able to, showcase who you are to your consumers, who are now your followers, the return on that is just remarkable. And the community that you naturally build just by being a human being is pretty crazy. And then obviously we have our educational pillar too. So we have these 3 major pillars that will also now in another month be working with Apple. I think Liam's in the audience over here through paid ads, and paid media strategy is going to be in place, not going to be like these, brands spending 15, 20, 25%, but it will be substantial. And I made the decision to wait 2 years to make that happen because I noticed our websites sucked. A mayor over at Perella just actually built us a new one that just launched last week on Shopify. We were on BigCommerce before. Those of you that follow me on LinkedIn, you know how I feel about BigCommerce. Not a fan. And when we transitioned over, we were finally ready, right? So we had to save cash flow in order to make the website build occur. And our goal is every single day to wake up cash flow positive. So we're not that X or LinkedIn brand that you see that shares their top line growth, which we'll get to here in a second. How do we grow at a rate in which we can keep reinvesting into the business and put us in a position now to be able to handle an incremental paid ad strategy, because we also manufacture our own product. So how do we take cash flow and sort of plan out our next 12 to 24 months of paid, so that way our manufacturing can either upgrade functionality and machinery, hire more engineers. You can't just dump a bunch of money in and then tell the manufacturer who is us, that we just 3x'd overnight. So a lot of things had to go in place framework-wise through fulfillment and manufacturing and the website for us to make that happen, and we had to go the organic route. But it's something that I believed in, but it's also another thing that I sort of forced upon the company to embrace in order to put us in a position where we are today that we can continue forward. So.
Go. Yo, listen up, let me put you on game. OmniSend's got the tools and everything that they claim. Email, SMS, yes, all in one. Ecom brands love it cause it gets work done. Yeah, 125K worldwide. Reviews so high, got them beaming with pride. And their stars are 4.8, no joke. Shopify bags, so you know it's dope. Automation so slick, like a self-driving whip. Bring them back with a click, never losing the grip. Easy migration, yeah, that's no stress. Support so strong, got me feeling real blessed. No sneaky fees, no surprise in sight. Ain't calling it alignment just to raise the price. So if growth is the goal and sales on your mind, OmniSend's got the tools, now go get what's mine. Hit omnisend.com today and watch your brand take off, okay? Oh yeah, and tell them Awesome sent you.
And I think a lot of the things, if you guys don't follow or have never checked out, he's got his page. I mean, there are two different, starkly different like approaches that are happening between these two companies here. Where BattleBox has a face, they have a very strong focus on they do show their products off, but they integrate it into their conversations. Yeah. With Brian, they actually don't talk about the product very often. They're doing everything behind the scenes. They're showing how the company is, and they're really engulfing on the community side of people who just want to work or buy from cool people, right? Like They have a different thing, and you should check it out. And I think a lot of the principles you shared with those 3 pillars often translate to B2B also. A lot of these people, and if you're listening in the audience, especially in B2B, when you think about social media and community and all the different things, a lot of those same principles come into play. Stop selling the product, start selling the experience, show your thought leadership. I mean, it's the same principle, and lead through education, right?
Absolutely.
Amer, as we come over and finalize this, what are your thoughts on community organic? Obviously, when brands, again, come to you and you're working with these brands, they have 2 objectives. They're either going to be driving a ton of media, or they're going to be trying to focus on building community. What have you seen something unique in the market these days where people are really focusing on how do they engulf into the community a little bit more?
I think, especially looking over the last 5 years, I hope brands are realizing more and more that the impact of owning the organic conversation is so important. Google can update their SEO algorithm, and tomorrow you can wake up and not sure what to do about it. Tomorrow there might be another iOS update. You don't know what to do about it. And what I've seen is that brands that lean into organic. Now, when I say organic, I don't mean, I think you're an exception where there's like 99% of your revenue comes through organic, but somebody like John and the team, it's more of a balance. But if a marketing event happens that deteriorates what might be happening from a paid standpoint, email standpoint, whatever the case is, you have something to fall back on, and there's less stress and anxiety for those founders and operators. And that's my big importance. Like a few years ago at SubSummit, I said it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a community to build a brand. If you don't have a community, I do not believe you're ever going to have a brand. You may have a great product, but you're not going to have something, an ethos that everybody rallies around. And I think you've done a great job at OMAs, and I think what Brandon and the team do at BattleBox is a personification of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, community is what drives the word of mouth. It's what drives referral business. It drives loyalty, right? It becomes an own channel, its own, but it also becomes its own unique beast of a channel, right? When you hear about different people talking about their communities, often you hear about they are kind of thriving and living on their own. The conversations are happening, and they're all here for a common reason. And it may be your brand, your product, what you're doing, your solution, whatever it might be. And it's definitely something that comes into place. All right, moving on. Next one.
Oh, Johnny!
This is a good one here, guys. Live shopping. I know live shopping's been around for a decade. Some consider it bleeding edge here today to have live shopping, but the reality is live shopping has been adopted in Asia forever, but with the change of TikTok and whatnot and all the different things, eBay and all these different places right now, live shopping is on the big rise right now. So in the audience, I want to start off, who's bullish with live shopping here? Got 1, 2, 3. We got a handful of hands.
Not many.
Who doesn't really believe in live shopping still today? No one? Oh, we got one back there. Okay, here we go.
We're going to change your mind.
All right, we want to share. So at 4:30 here today, John is actually going live on Whatnot to go do some live shopping. But John, you guys have now been experimenting for probably about 30, 45 days now on Whatnot, selling different survival and outdoor gear on something that's traditionally been for card guys, right? People who are selling baseball cards and trading cards, but now you're on Whatnot. And you guys are actually going live here on SubSummit at 4:30 today. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the results and why you're so bullish on it and why you guys are investing in this right now.
Yeah, so when you think about live shopping, Jimmy's right. For the last 10 years, we've been chatting about it, and it's always the comparable. Well, look at China, right? You look at China retail overall, 10% comes from live shopping. Full commerce in China, 10%. That's a staggering number. Is the U.S. going to get that way? Probably not. I think the behavior among the countries is different and will stay different to a certain degree. But, we're 10 years behind, but it's wild. So to Jimmy's point, Brandon, Cameron, Walter, Austin, the marketing team, 45 days ago started testing on Whatnot. We're 32, 33 hours in so far of live shopping, $4,300 an hour average revenue. This is for a single channel, running about 40% margin. So this is us going 15% of the speed we can before scaling up. So it's very, very easily with staying on a single channel, it has runway to be an 8-figure channel for us, which is wild. And be able to be an 8-figure channel for us short of a year, which is, it's wild. $4,000 an hour with a single channel, and it's scalable, right? So as we ramp this up over the next 120 days, we might say, oh, well, let's do a secondary channel, right? Instead of 5 hours a day, let's go 8 hours a day. The sky's the limit, and it's mind-blowing that whether this is a fad or not, there's, I hate comparing to China because they're so far ahead of us, but even if this is half of what it seems to be today, it's a gigantic channel. It is a big channel. So at 4:30 today here, on the stage, Brandon, myself, I believe Cameron from our team, we're going to do at least an hour of live shopping. So if you guys want
live selling.
Live selling.
Yeah, live selling.
And you can watch us literally sell. It's wild how easy it is.
And just to put this into perspective a little bit, if you guys are doing $4,000 an hour and you did it 8 hours a day at 5 days a week, right? 52 weeks out of the year, that's $8.3 million in sales. Just to put that into perspective, what that could output.
And to put it into perspective on Whatnot, the two top channels are, I believe the top one's around 15 million just on Whatnot, right? Sales-wise,
for
roughly.
Outdoor industry.
For the outdoor industry. And
Sports
then
cards, it's $100 million channel.
Yep. So there's some brands on there doing, well over 8 figures just selling knives, for example.
Yeah, and it's not just that channel. I mean, you guys can expand to eBay. You could expand to TikTok shop.
TikTok, we have over 1 million followers on there. We haven't even scratched the surface on that.
You guys aren't doing live shopping there yet, right?
We haven't even done one.
Yeah, so there's all these different places, and I think, a lot of this has been generational too. I think that's something that we've talked about a lot, is that as we're seeing this next generation kind of rise up and their buying power continues to rise, one of the things we're really seeing is that the way they want to buy is different. They don't want to get sold to, they want to buy with. And that's really the big thing that you'll kind of notice when it comes to live shopping and the changeover that's occurring here. Brian, you guys haven't dabbled in live shopping officially, but you guys do go live on social with your community.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the impact you see literally just going live to your community every day.
Yeah, so I'm a big live guy, right? It's very hard to sell raw frozen pet food. You can't really live shop a frozen brick of chicken. But the the cool part is what we do is every day we go live, right? Whether it's for an hour, 2 hours, randomly throughout the day, our social media team will go around either our USDA manufacturing facility or our warehouse, and we implement it around like promotions instead of giving away discounts. We're not a discount brand. We don't run any crazy offers. But we did a July 4th special where I brought a dunk tank into the warehouse where our pick and pack station is, and we went live on it. And every order over $250, because I wanted our average AOV is anywhere from like $195 to $202. I wanted that day to go to $250, so our minimum was $250. If you place an order over $250, you got to dunk one of the founding members of the family. And that day we almost did 2.5x rough revenue without giving away anything, but just spending $400 on a dunk tank and going live on Instagram and TikTok for about 6 hours. So Jimmy's point, my mother, her mother, at the time, I don't know if you guys remember the old QVC channels, right? Live shopping's been around for 40 years. But instead of buying a mechanical bed delivered to your home, you're going on Whatnot now. But live shopping's always been around. It's just the vehicle in which it's delivered to the consumer is different. So
the patterns are changing.
The patterns are changing. It's just it's the same thing in a different format.
Yeah, I mean, you said you're our mothers, right? And then we got skeptical at our generation, the millennial, and the millennial generation got a little skeptical. But now we're seeing that turn a little bit come into place. Amer, what do you think about it? I mean, one of the things that's really fun about Amer is that he loves to go experiment with a lot of channels. And, you have a fun story, and I know you've told this before about how you generated about $400,000 or $500,000 just testing out live shopping under a pseudonym with no real thing, but just to get it out there. In
sports
fact,
cards, right?
Yeah, sports cards.
Yeah.
Way back during COVID because you were just bored, right? And I think it's very interesting that you went off and explored it. What do you think your key learning was when you kind of went in there? Like, what was the big thing that you learned from live shopping back then that you see to continue to change and evolve here as it's happening?
I think maybe Brandon will be able to talk about this a little bit later, but I obviously work on websites, and websites are a living, breathing organism that you're having these passive conversations and experiences with users. With Whatnot, as an example, that I went on, and that $400,000 I did in about 3 months, by the way. And
wow, nice brag, dude.
I have to.
3
But
months.
the cool part is, as we call it, is we have the communication or talks with the chat. So it's like, what's up, Chad? What are you guys doing? People start to ask you questions. And one of the things that I wanted to sell, something I'm really passionate about, is soccer. I grew up playing soccer. I know a lot about soccer. I can talk about it probably on stage now for the next 4 hours before these guys go live. But it gives you this adrenaline. It gives you this adrenaline that you're actually having these conversations with people. And I have a background in retail. I used to work for Target. I used to walk the floors, talk to people. So it was like, it reminded me of an in-store experience with getting to know people. And to this day, I have followers that, and I stopped going live, message me to see how I'm doing. People would share with me that, hey, I just had my son, I'm a collector, and I would send their son a first pack of cards, and I told them, open this when they're 10. And you kind of create these bonds that I think brands have a difficulty doing so through a website if you open up and share. Now, what I'm going to say out that $400,000 that I moved in product, I got it at MSRP in retail. It wasn't bulk. It happened to be like, hey, let me see if this makes sense. I moved a bunch of product, and one day I was like, holy crap, well, let me get 2 cases of this, then 3 cases. The next thing I see is people are asking me, when are you going to go live next? In a blink of an eye, 3 months later, I almost had 10,000 followers, and it was a cool community that I built, and I felt it was effortless for me. Now, my biggest lesson to this is with TikTok, this is with Instagram when it came out. Live shopping is one of them. And I think we're still, even though it's been around for 10 years, I think we're still early on.
For sure.
Try it. And the biggest thing I hear from my brands is I don't have resources, but if you create a 4,000 an hour problem, are you going to go find a resource? Hell yeah, you are. So my biggest thing is try it. If it doesn't work, try it again in 6 months, try it again in 12 months, whatever. But the biggest mistake is not being an early adopter. Early adoption gives you lowest CPC, acquisition cost, and bigger opportunities before somebody else floods their market and you can control the narrative. So I think take this moment with live shopping, because I guarantee you every brand in here that does not do what John is doing is going to regret it in 2 years, because they're like, oh, well, we didn't have the resources. No, you didn't make the resources.
All you need is a phone.
All you need is a phone and a mouth.
And all of you guys have a phone in this audience, and everyone who's listening to this pod.
Oh, and by the way, guys, when I went live, if you guys feel like, oh, you have to show your face, I just showed my hands, and I was just ripping cards like this. They had no idea who I was, and there was actually a big thing that said, hey, Amir, if we do a $10,000 day for you, will you show your face? I was like, okay. And I did $10,000 in a day, and I showed my face.
If you showed your face every day, I don't even know if you would have made the $400,000 though.
Brian, can you?
Well, I did that at the end, and then he tanked.
Can you rate his hands 1 to 10?
Him?
Brian,
Amir's a 5. Huh?
So something I do want to call out. So on TikTok Shop, our AOV is $21. On our website, our AOV is about $140. On Whatnot, our AOV is about $100. So it's the behavior is definitely different. TikTok Shop, while it's a good channel, it's profitable for us. It's a 7-figure channel for us. The reality is it's very transactional. And back to the previous slide about community, like this checks so many boxes with live shopping.
And the other thing too, for those that have experimented with live shopping their website, this is a lot different, because like something like a Whatnot and eBay doesn't have to. It's a marketplace, so you don't necessarily have to worry about driving traffic.
Yeah.
You can sponsor an app and do a lot of these other things. And by the way, this has not been sponsored by Whatnot, just for the record. But it is a great.
They should have. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the last one here. The next one here that we brought up is top line growth. We've all heard it before over the years. Growth at all costs. That top line revenue that you're proud to share on the internet without telling them that you're actually making no money. Well, how do people feel about top line growth these days? Hot? Are you bullish on it? Oh, no one's bullish on it.
Love that.
Yeah. Not? Yes? No? Okay, we got some nots here. All right, great. Thoughts, guys? I know, Brian, I'm going to start with you because I know you've been waiting and chomping to take a little hot take.
Listen, I'm not how do I say this politely? I despise X. This is why I'm the funniest guy on LinkedIn, because I'll call people out. I hate when people share their metrics and everything on X and LinkedIn, because it gives a false sense of hope. I don't care how much money you make. All I care about is a healthy business, and I think a healthy business means you cash flow, right? So those of you that watch Shark Tank, I know it's old now, but they won't invest in anyone that isn't cash flow positive. And I think that a healthy business structure, especially not even in brands anymore, SaaS, right? We saw this raise period, for almost 4 years occur where, every SaaS company under the sun was getting $5, $10, $15, $20 million from Henry, Tony, and Tommy. Well, they hired everyone, blew it, it's gone. They're not profitable, they're dead, or, they lost a ton of money. So it could be transferred over to whether you're an agency, SaaS, or a brand. Focusing on a business health structure, I call it, where you put yourself in a position where you have enough cash flow coming in to build the organizational structure to help you grow going forward. And I think that was a big lesson, that when I walked into at OMA's, it's like, hey, we want to do this, but we need to do X, Y, and Z first before we even think about that. And a lot of times, when you become a transactional paid ad brand and all you're chasing are top line revenue metrics, you forget about the healthy cash flow organizational structure to bring you a decade or 2 decades or 3 decades down the road. Because, the moral of the story is, less than 1% of brands can chase top line and sell for a multiple that's going to make them a profit at the end. Most folks have to be cash flow positive for decades if they want to, essentially keep that business going. So that was one key thing I want to drive home is obsess over your cost of goods. I'm in a weird position where, I'm the eCom marketing guy, but I'm also involved on the operation side of it. So we obsess over our cost of goods, and I think not enough people spend enough time obsessing over that. And that's my big takeaway for everyone is to literally not sleep and just obsess over your cost of goods.
John, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian nailed it. More so, I mean, regardless of what your goal is, right? So if you're trying to build a lasting, standing brand, if you're trying to build a brand to sell it and have an exit, Brian's spot on. Like, the multiplier off revenue, with some exceptions for SaaS and some, unicorns, the bubblies of the world, or the poppies of the world, it doesn't happen, right? It's a multiplier off profit. It's a multiplier off EBITDA or an adjusted EBITDA. And if you don't have profit, like, it's scary. Like, why are you building all this if you might just go out of business? And then everyone that's a part of the team loses their job. Like, it's just not.
It's tough.
It's tough.
And that's where, like, you have to think about too is, I know this is like sort of new for us the past couple months, but like figuring out the direction of your brand if you do eventually want to sell for a multiple that is, profitable like we are, where we're not going to plan 10 years down the road to just keep dumping money in and growing at an unsustainable rate where I had to sit down one day and I saw an episode on TV and it sort of clicked for me where I was like, okay, we've been doing things like this for 40 something years, but I want to make us into a pet wellness brand and collect customers' data. So what we're going to do is we're working with a bunch of labs and creating our own at-home testing kit to send with the first month subscription order. We're going to collect the dog's data. It's going to show their biological age marker. So if you have a 4-year-old lab, but you've been feeding kibble or a bad pet food, your markers could come back that your dog's 7. All right. Well, that cost of good kit for us is probably going to be around $17 to $22. That's going to be included as a leverage point for paid ad acquisition and also as a retention tool where our churn month is, say, 7. That testing kit will get sent out the month prior. And now what we've done is we've curated this $250 value at a $40 cost of goods to acquire customers on paid, collect first-party data from tens of thousands of dogs. Now we don't have to chase $100 million top line. We can grow profitably and then retain customers for a long period of time, collect first-party data, and now we become a pet wellness brand so we can sell to a Zoetis or a pharmaceutical company. Now we can grow and then sell for that multiple that we want and profitably. So I think you have to think about your business in different ways, and this just came about a few months ago. So think about different ways that you can sort of leverage profitable growth.
And Amer, you're on the agency side, and obviously top line growth is not what you care about. You care about your margins and your dollars because that's how you can pay the people and you can keep the lights on, essentially. Any thoughts around this as you've watched over the years of businesses just chasing top line growth, including your own clients?
So I get the top line chase, but I think the top line chase needs to be followed with bottom line optimization. The levers have to get pushed. What it's very disheartening to me is at a certain point, top line, SaaS, agency, brands, this whole building in public thing. And I get on the phone with brands and they were like, well, so-and-so competitor is doing this much. It's not what it seems. I'm very, very fortunate to be in a community where we talk about these things and the health of the markets and everything like that. And nothing is as it is put out on LinkedIn or X.
Yeah, but building in public doesn't always mean that you have to share your numbers. You can share other things about the business.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the building in public and the narrative comes, look how well we're going. Look how fast we went from 0 to 10 million. But that business has zero profitability or has $1 million in debt.
Yeah, they're doing $50 million a year in revenue, and they freaked out because they didn't know how they were going to make payroll.
Yeah,
That should not be a thing.
It shouldn't. And now everyone has the freedom to do whatever they want. But for me, as a agency operator, somebody that collaborates with brands a lot, this weighs heavy on brands because they're like, "What am I doing wrong?" But in my perspective, they're doing everything right because they're building a healthy, sustainable business. Almost Pride's been around for 45 years. We know publicly traded direct-to-consumer companies that went public that are no longer around.
Or ones that are failing really bad right now.
Yeah. And I use John as an example. I have a bunch of merchants that are like this. They never brag or put out there how well they're doing, but they keep building kind of like silently, I would say. and execute to perfection. And those that constantly chase, I think, this like top line number, I think it eventually just catches up with them.
Yeah. Any other inputs here? Any other thoughts? All right. Well, as we're running down on time, I've got one extra bonus slide here, guys. I snuck one in. Since we've got a little audience live one, we needed to see if we could feed the ego here. The last one is Brian McDonald.
Oh, yeah.
Is he hot or not?
Hot or not? Hot?
Boo.
Hell yeah.
Put your hands
Hell
down.
yeah.
How about people that bust his ego? There we go.
That's
We're
a
roasting
nut?
some ego. Yeah.
That's my paid ad guy, too.
I think I would give that
I'm
over a
slashing the budget.
Maybe
I'm
6.5.
I'm slashing the budget.
Well, thank you guys all. We are excited to have presented here live from the SubSummit studio. Big shout out to SubSummit. Thank you for this. We drop new episodes every Thursday. We meet in person most of the time. We just shot a ton of pods, but you can scan us. If you don't scan us here, you can check out the bathrooms. We're also available in the
That's
bathroom.
so weird.
Yeah, if you
It's,
go, if
I
you
know
go
that
into the
sounds
bathroom,
weird,
Yeah.
but we're
Call-
out there.
call to action
We
is
have
go
a
to the
fun little
bathroom.
video on there if you do scan us, but please subscribe to our YouTube. That's where you'll find us on 4K. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed your time during the lunch hour here. We're the Awesome Pod for John Roman, Amir Grosnich, Brian, and myself. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you,
you
guys.
guys. Thank you.
Welcome to the Awesome Pod, where we talked a lot. Ecom was the path that we walked a lot. But now the question is, will you subscribe or not? Ha!